My girlfriend cheated on me for the dumbest reason. Posted on July 10, 2023. I can't believe it. My girlfriend cheated on me, but for that reason. Let me start off. In high school, there was this girl that had a crush on me and eventually asked me out. She couldn't believe it after I agreed because she always mentions that I am out of her league. I would always tell her that it's not important and that I love her, or else why would I agree on a date, right? The date went great and we stayed together until she was 22 and I was 23. We both have decent paying jobs and we are living in a house and we were planning to marry and etc. The thing I didn't like was that she still always mentioned that I was out of her league. I told her I wasn't comfortable with that and I asked her why she would always mention it. She said that she was scared I would cheat on her. I will describe my life. No female friends, just 5 best friends since my childhood. I don't go partying, and if I would go, I would never go without my girlfriend. I usually go 2 to 3 times a week without her with my buddies, mostly to the gym. She does go partying without me, but I don't really mind, because I have trust in her and I am not this kind of jealous partner. She would always come back at around 3 a.m., but I would be sleeping because I have work at 5 a.m. I am pretty active in Instagram, and I would always post pics of me with my buddies or my girlfriend or just pictures of me in the holidays. I would have many people in my DMs, but I would always ignore them, tell them I have a girlfriend, or just block them. Now one day I was at the gym with my friends and one of them invited me to his house because we were very tired. He asked me to stay for the night and I agreed. I immediately told my girlfriend and sent her my location. She just read it and everything went on normal. So the other day she came home later than usual, or around 4:30 a.m. I was awake because I had to go work. After I saw her, I just asked why she came so late and she answered with, "I have just forgotten the time." I didn't think much about it and went to work. Later that day, I got a message from her saying that we have to talk. I just said that I have to work and I am coming later. Later that day, I came home and she was sitting on the couch crying. I thought someone died and I went to comfort her. I asked her what's wrong and she told me that the day she came late, she had slept with her ex. I just looked at her and then asked why. She said that she is insecure because I am out of her league, and that she is pretty sure that I have cheated to at least once. I just continued looking at her and I said that I needed a moment and I ran out of the house. I didn't know what to do, so I just went outside and drove with my car away. I am not an emotional person, so I didn't really cry, but I was just thinking the whole time, she fucking cheated on me. After I came back home, I saw her just acting like everything is normal, and she tried to give me a kiss, but I refused. I don't know what to do right now. I told her that I am staying at my friend's for a few days. What should I do? Update on July 16, 2023. I'll make that as short as I can. So to me, I am doing great and I don't regret anything. So people thought I would stay. People tried to give me advice. Like you for real thought I am going to stay with her. Of course, I was going to dump her. To be honest, I used some advice, but let's start off. I didn't stay long at my friend's, 2 days. After that I went home and immediately said without even greeting her, "You know, you were right. I am way out of your league and not just with my looks." She immediately started crying, but I didn't care at all. I just wanted her out of my face. She tried to apologize and restart, but I just declined with heck no. After she cried her ass out, she went away. I don't know where she went, but I don't really care either. I have heard that she tried to make herself the victim, but I didn't care what or how she is doing. I got shitstormed by her friends, but it was just very funny. I took it easy and went on just like normal. It's her loss, I guess. I am sorry for the short update and the late posting.
Ex's girlfriend expects me to take her kids for a weekend. Post on May 6, 2021. So some background info that is relevant. My ex is not actually my ex. We've been separated for 9 years now, but we've never actually signed papers for numerous reasons, financial being the biggest one. We've co-parented our son well for those years, and for the past 8 years, we've included my boyfriend in the process. We've been doing quite well at this, and the 3 of us have established a pretty good relationship. 2 years ago, however, my ex got a new girlfriend. Her and I don't get along, mainly on her part. And no, I don't just say this because it's my side. I've always encouraged my son to respect her and tried to get along with her, but he can't stand her or her 2 daughters. I don't mind her youngest. She's hyper, and bounces off the wall, but she's 8. It's to be expected. The oldest one -11, the same age as my son, however, is she's a bitch. She actively ridicules and belittles her little sister, my son, and my daughter, 6. She's rude to me, my ex-in-laws, and even my ex. This girl is absolutely out of control. Background out of the way, last weekend was my son's weekend at his father's. However, my ex and his girlfriend had been invited to an adult party. My ex and I were discussing it when he dropped my son off on Wednesday, and he mentioned that it might be easier if we switched weekends around, but he wasn't sure if he could find a babysitter for the 2 girls, so we had to wait and see. I was fine with that and told him to just keep me informed. Later that night, his girlfriend sent me a message saying that since I was taking my son for the weekend, !1, I could just take the 2 girls and keep them for the weekend too. Before I could even respond to this, she added that she would send them over clothes and some money so we could get pizza. I told her that I wouldn't be taking her girls, that I wasn't taking my son for the weekend, that he lives with me, and his father and I were just switching weekends around. And I certainly wasn't taking her children for the weekend. She sent a message back saying that it was very rude of me to not take her girls, since she took my son every other weekend. Before I could respond, again, she sent another message saying she'd send over $15 for pizza. I told her that she didn't take my son on the weekends, that my son spent the weekends with his father, and reiterated again that I wouldn't be taking her girls. She responded asking what I was doing that I couldn't take the girls. I told her we weren't doing anything. We were just going to have a nice relaxing weekend. She asked why I would ruin her and my ex's weekend by not taking the girls. By this point I was annoyed and told her that I didn't like her oldest daughter, and she was a brat, and she wasn't allowed in my home outside of emergency situations. She responded by saying that I was an awful person, a terrible mother, and I didn't deserve children since I clearly didn't understand parents who just need a break. I ended up blocking her. But damn. Edit. Well, firstly, thank you for all the awards. I was just griping about my ex's girlfriend lol, didn't expect all this. Secondly, while I've tried to respond to a lot of you, as a few general points, I don't know where the girl's bio dad is. Ex's girlfriend is from the West Coast. We live on the East Coast, and I've never felt it my place to ask. She doesn't end up raising my son on the weekends. My ex knows our son isn't a fan, so they typically go fishing, camping, or hiking. My ex loves our son and spends as much time with him as possible. No, I did not call the 11-year-old a bitch to her face, or to her mother's face. I told her mother she was a brat. Yes, if that makes me a terrible person, well, so be it. I have screenshot the pictures of our convo, and I plan on talking to my ex when he picks our son up on Wednesday. I currently haven't heard from either of them, so I guess we'll see if she tries to drop them off tonight at 6 lol. Edit 2. So I just got off the phone with my ex, who called to ask when I'd agreed to take the kids, since last he knew that wasn't happening. I sent him screenshots of the conversation, explained that I had never agreed to take either girl, and told him I was quite clear with her on that. He said he was sorry, and he'd handle it, and that I'd see him on Wednesday when he picks our son up.
Am I the asshole for telling my poor friend that he's actually the privileged one now? Posted on July 17, 2023. One of my very close friends, Nathan, 29, and I, 28, met during our first post-college job at a prestigious finance firm, and we immediately bonded over the long work hours, shitty middle management, and general soul-sucking nature of making PowerPoint slides and Excel sheets all day. For the next few years, a lot of our friendship revolved around us talking about work and how much we hated it. A few years ago, I decided that I just couldn't take the corporate grind anymore, and I quit my job to move into the nonprofit world. While I now certainly make less than I would have at my old job, I'm exponentially happier, healthier, and absolutely love the work that I do. I also still make a very good salary, $80,000 a year, which I feel is more than enough money for me and my needs. Nathan has been ambitiously climbing the corporate ladder and recently became a VP at his firm. He makes well over $300,000 a year. Nathan grew up in a very poor family, and his relatives are still financially unstable and often ask him for money. I, on the other hand, grew up in a comfortable upper-middle-class suburb with parents who have always been financially stable. They're not millionaires, but if anything ever happened to me, they could and would help me until I could get back on my feet. Nathan does not have that privilege. I recently got offered my dream job, where I would be making slightly less money than I am now, $75,000 a year. Despite the money, I am genuinely giddy about this job prospect, and was pumped to tell my friends. However, when I told Nathan, his response was, "I'm glad you have the financial privilege to take a pay cut." Not, "Wow, ancient Mesopotamia, I know you've been really wanting this job for months now, and have told me all about how excited you are about it. Congratulations," or anything along those lines. I'll admit that I snapped back at him and told him that he makes triple the amount of money I do, and that at some point he needs to realize he's now got privileges of his own, instead of pointing out mine. The conversation got a bit heated, and we agreed to hang up and cool off before talking it over later. Now I'm wondering if I should apologize to Nathan for what I said, or if I should stand my ground. I'm feeling angry and a bit defensive, which I realize is exactly the reaction that a spoiled rich kid would have. However, I also do think it was a bit mean of him to say that at that exact moment when I was so excited. And while generational wealth does give privileges that income alone does not, he literally does make over triple the amount of money that I now make, so it seems a tiny bit hypocritical for him to be calling me privileged. Also, as a final note, while my parents certainly are well off, they do not support me financially in any way, and have not since I graduated from college 7 years ago. So, I leave the judgment to you all. Am I the asshole? Update in the original post. Edit. Whoa, this really blew up in a way I wasn't expecting. I've spent hours reading as many comments as I can, and I thank each of you for your perspectives. I have really learned a lot about privilege and what it's like to grow up poor from some of your stories. While it is nice of many of you to say that I'm not the asshole, I do think I approached Nathan's situation with a lot of ignorance and potential chivalry. You equivalent joke 9617 said it best. I don't think it matters who's more right here. What matters is whether Nathan has been a good friend and one that's worth keeping. If the answer is yes, a heart-to-heart talk should sort this out. Genuine adult friendships are hard to come by. Don't let a misunderstanding ruin it. Nathan's been my buddy for years, through thick and thin, and so I called him back up to apologize. I mentioned that I really didn't know what his experience had been like, and that I was so proud of him for all he's accomplished, and that I just felt a little hurt and unsupported when he called out my privilege from the get-go, instead of being happy for me. It felt like he was minimizing my success, but it turns out he's just been having a tough time at work, and didn't respond in the best way to my job news. He apologized too, and we had a really nice conversation. I think that since we started our careers at the same place and time, that it's easy for us to compare ourselves, and we're both guilty of the competitive comparison game with each other. Anyway, it's all good now, and I think we've opened up a good dialogue where I can learn more about my buddy's past and what it's been like for him, and try and support him with some of the mental struggles of coming from poverty. Listen to you equivalent joke 9617 and have heart-to-hearts with your friends and learn from your mistakes. Also, Nathan and I will be going to a baseball game next week, and he offered to buy the tickets because he's loaded, and I'm a non-profits club. Both his words, both said with love.
My husband of 7 years is really angry that I refused to quit my job to become a stay-at-home wife-girlfriend. Not sure what to do. Posted on April 2nd, 2023. Hi everyone. Not really familiar with Reddit and having an account, but saw this is an online forum for relationship advice and could use some input. I love my husband and he's an amazing man, but we have flaws like everyone else. We both aged out of foster care and met at a youth fulfillment program, basically a work camp that helps kids with no families learn the fundamentals for living, finances, certificates, as needed. We were both 18 and stayed in contact after the program ended. He made it clear he liked me, but I was truly petrified of men at that point in my life due to past experiences and rejected him a bit harshly. I reached out to apologize and we became friends. Then a year or two later I saw he posted on Snapchat he was in my area. I asked if he would want to go on a date so I could practice being comfortable around guys and he agreed. He never made a move, never touched me, never made weird eye contact. If I said no, he didn't ask a second time, not even as a suggestion. We went on these platonic dates for months with nothing happening. And one day I asked for a hug and then asked for a kiss and he asked me to be his girlfriend. We got married a year after and our 7-year anniversary is around the corner. We agreed we would not even think about having kids until we were older since both of us were the product of young parents. We've really just only focused on getting by on using as little money as possible and saving up every dime to buy a house. Thankfully, we got our house a few months ago and we were both able to quit our second jobs and for the first time only work regular 9-to-5s. Yay! I've discovered I really like gardening and baking and I love having a real home. We have been discussing adding to our family by having a baby and I feel very ready to be a mom, scared still. Yes, but ready. But my husband brought up how sad I would be if I had to quit since I've worked so hard. I told him I had zero plans to quit. I would only take maternity leave. Plus my company allows maternal and paternal remote options for 1 year after birth, so I can just work from home if needed. I know it's a lot to do with a newborn, but giving up the security of my paycheck is simply not an option. He told me this was what we worked for, to make our own perfect family opposite from what ours were like, and I was blindsiding him by changing my plans and I told him no plan has changed. I can have a career and be a mom. Plenty of women do it. He doesn't have to quit his job to be a dad, so why should I? He said it wouldn't work for a baby's needs and I told him okay. Since I make more money than you do, why don't you quit and I go back to work remotely after healing from birth? That way we have both hands on deck and we don't have a severe loss of income as I make $89,000 a year and he makes $52,000 a year. He mentioned that if I trusted him fully, this shouldn't be a problem. I told him I trust him, but I don't trust our current economy, but I left out that I really do genuinely think quitting my job with no savings, wiped out by getting the house, and relying on a man is absolutely stupid. He had plans made previously with his parents and had to leave, so we said we would pick the conversation back up when he gets home, but he's very, very upset. Madder than I have ever seen him, and I don't understand why he just assumed I would quit. Not only do I not understand it, but it makes me trust him a lot less than I did yesterday. I have a bad habit of running for the hills when problems come up, and not gonna lie, this is making me really nervous. Thank you for reading all of this if you have. I'm open ears to what could be going through his mind or why he is thinking like this. Really just doesn't seem logical to me. He's been watching all of these videos of stay-home wives' girlfriends and do feel like this is influencing him a lot. Edit. There was an update to this post. We are no longer together. Update on July 18, 2023. It's been a few days since he came home and told me he met a girl at work and she's a better woman than me, and that she has a son already and will be a stay-at-home wife or girlfriend or whatever the fuck. He gets his happy ending, I guess. He texted me right before I got off work and asked me to pick up food from one of our usual date night spots. I got home and noticed his car had boxes in it and a woman I didn't know. I tried opening the door, but it was locked and she just looked at me. What little was left of our savings, he took, and both of our cats. I didn't see this coming at all. I haven't told any of my friends yet. His adoptive parents have been dropping me off food that I can't even force myself to eat. I haven't cried yet. I'm kind of still in shock. I wish I had a family to run to. But for now the internet has to do. I haven't answered any of his calls or texts. He keeps trying to check in, ask if I'm okay. How the fuck would I be okay? I never thought he would cheat. I asked him to promise if there was ever someone else he would just tell me as soon as he knew, but they've been together at least 6 months. So while he was calling me selfish for not wanting to put in my 2 weeks and be a stay-at-home wife, He was dating her the entire time, planning a future with her the entire time. I feel stupid. I should have taken everyone's advice more literally. When I asked him to go to therapy, he wouldn't. His parents think he's have some type of mental break. I should have stayed afraid of him and avoided him. I should have chosen a better outcome for myself. I just feel like the same girl that no one wants to love anymore all over again. I know what he did isn't my fault. I know I could never stop him, and really, do I want a man who doesn't want me? Never. But that just doesn't stop it from hurting. I am moving in with my boyfriend of 3 years, and my fundamentalist mom is furious. Posted on January 17, 2023. My mom and I have always had a very close relationship. She tells me everything. I am her only daughter. Her confidant since I was a small child, telling me everything from financial troubles to have issues with my dad, brothers, etc. Her pride has always been that I have always been very mature for my age, being able to cook, clean, take care of my brother with ASD, being homeschooled, being active in my church, etc. So much so that people have always mistaken me for being 10 plus years older than I was since I was 13 to 14 or so. Please keep in mind I grew up in the fundamentalist world. Think Duggars, IBLB, Bill Gothard, Quiverful, etc. The vibe is ultra-conservative, long skirts and hair, no TV and only select music, homeschooling, tons of kids and such. I have 6 brothers, for example, all homeschooled K-12. I have always been extremely good at towing the line between being compliant and being a silent rebel. Always did and said the right thing so as to not be in trouble and have privileges restricted, but always questioning everything and pushing boundaries as far as I could. I went to college, got my AAS, work in healthcare. I moved out by myself. Huge upset, and am financially independent. Lived on my own for years and am fully self-sufficient. I have slowly distanced myself from my fundamentalist background. I have lost almost all the friends I had growing up, as we were friends by necessity, not really choice in most cases. We have rather just grown apart, or it is because I left and they stayed, even leaving my church. I just slowly phased out, giving up responsibilities in college due to being busy and slowly showing up less and less. Again, I'm an excellent quiet rebel. I met my boyfriend right before COVID hit. We get along great. He is calm where I am anxious, absolutely hilarious, and makes me feel like I'm home whenever I'm with him. I can honestly say he is the love of my life. My mom had never liked him, feels like he doesn't have his priorities straight. He is successful in his career and also fully self-sufficient because he likes sports too much. Doesn't like his friends, who she has never met. She just picks apart any story I tell her to find an issue with them. They have been super kind and welcoming to me. She just doesn't like him but is never really able to give me a solid reason. My dad and my brothers-in-laws love him. I told them we were moving in together in a few months. My dad told me he would prefer if we got married first, but that it was ultimately my choice. My mom lost it, storming out of the house and then storming back in to tell me to get out. So I left and have heard nothing for days. She texted me this and saying we need to meet so we can talk before I make the biggest mistake of my life. Honestly, I'm so emotionally exhausted. I'm tired, sad and numb. I fluctuate between trying to not cry and panic to just staring off and shutting down and trying to think of nothing at all. I know I'm too old for this. I know I should be far past these growing pains and that I should just move on and cut her off, but I can't. Who is she going to have if I'm gone? Her life is so hard with my brother having medical issues, and I have always been there to help amongst other things. I'm her support and feel so selfish. I do not want to talk to her but know I have to. What the hell am I supposed to say? What would you say? Update on July 18, 2023. See a link if you want the story again. But for my update, my mom tried everything: tears, threats, gaslighting, contacting people from my past to stop me. I cut contact, didn't tell her where our new place was. She was texting my boyfriend for weeks. He blocked her and never responded. Only recently have we started gently talking again. My boyfriend and I have been living together for more than 4 months. We adopted 2 dogs from a local rescue. We meal prep together, work out together, watch movies, sports, and are obsessed with our neighborhood farmers market. With the support of my friend's boyfriend and brothers, I am going back to school this fall for a higher degree. I also started taking medication for my mental health and am seeing a therapist. I am so damn happy and excited for what the future holds. Thank you to everyone for their support. I read every comment and cried through them all. Seriously, thank you. You have no idea what everything meant to me. Anyone wanting further context? You could watch Shiny Happy People. That unfortunately is my background.
Am I the asshole for leaving after my mom kept joking about my childhood and calling me her practice kid? Posted on July 13, 2023. My 19 parents had me young and by accident. My childhood was nothing but money troubles and listening to my parents screaming at each other. Things only got better when my mom left my dad and started seeing my stepdad. He brought financial stability and is more of a father to me than my bio dad ever was. They have a daughter together, my sister Melody. I'm not blind. I know they shower her with attention and buy her everything they can because I has nothing when I was her age. When I was younger, it frustrated me to her being loved in a way I never was, but now I know that my mom did her best with the experience and resources she had. It's just bad luck that it worked out the way it did. With that context out of the way, Melody turned 4 and my parents went all out. They invited not only all the family in the area, but also some of Melody's friends from daycare and their parents. Once my mom and the other mom has a few drinks each, they start gossiping. The conversation, which I was not part of, but was listening to because I was bored watching the kids, turned to sharing stories about their kids. My mom, instead of sharing cute stories about Melody, decided to tell a group of random mom about the time I tried to make my parents stop fighting by collecting change lying around the house and giving it to them. I was 7. She was laughing the whole time and ended the story with, the things you learn with the oldest. Practice kids, am I right? Stepdad's name. And I never fight in front of Melody. I think that's why she's so much easier than my name. That story is a painful memory for me, so I was hurt that she thought it was so hilarious, but I didn't say anything and tried to brush it off. The moms started talking about kindergarten because a few of them have kids who will be starting in the fall. My mom, who by then was shit-faced, decided that it would be a great idea to share the story of how she carried the school into letting me do gym class in my winter boots, because that was the one pair of shoes I had. Again, she told the whole story with a grin on her face and laughing. The last thing she said made almost blow up. Thank goodness Melody can have all the shoes she wants, though with how much shit my name pulled at that age, maybe it was best I didn't waste money on the practice kid. I texted my mom, I'm glad you find how poor and miserable we were so funny, but it really upsets me how you clearly think of me as practice for Mel. I'm going, so someone should watch the kids. I then left without talking to anyone. When I got home, I checked my texts and found a rant from her, saying that they were her stories and she could feel any way she wanted. She called me sensitive for not taking a joke and suggested I get a therapist. I already have one and she knows that, because I was jealous of a 4-year-old. She said I was rude for leaving. I was too upset to respond then, but after some thought I may be in the wrong. Am I the asshole? Update on July 18, 2023. So, to start, I'd like to thank everyone who commented on my last post. I read through as many replies as I could and some of y'all had me sobbing. Genuinely, everyone says that the internet is a cesspit of toxicity, but that's not true at all. Mushy feelings aside, here's the actual update. So, the first thing I did was talk to my stepdad. Contrary to some of y'all's assumptions, I don't live at my parents' house, so I asked him over to breakfast to talk on a day my mom had work but I had off. He knows I usually plan around my mom's work schedule, so I think he knew it was serious beforehand. We sat down over eggs and I told him what had happened. He'd been doing something else at the time and was absolutely shocked. Apparently, my mom had told him a twisted version of events. According to him, she'd said that I sent her an angry text because of a few harmless jabs and that she was only kidding and didn't mean any harm. She also had conspicuously left out her drunken text to me. His reaction to the actual content of her jokes can only be described as a deep sadness and frustration. He offered me true support and affirmation, something that I could never picture my mom doing in my a million years. My mom can be nice, but she's not great at anything deeper than platitudes. What did I ever do to deserve him? He was also completely blindsided by the fact that there was alcohol at a kid's party. Apparently, he had left the planning to her and had no idea. I told him that I want to go very low contact with my mom for a bit, and asked for his help to see him and Melody without having to deal with her. He said that he understood, and agreed to have me over when she's not around. He told me he would get my mom help with her emotions and her drinking problem, and I told him that she probably wouldn't cooperate and promised to help him get her the help she needs in what ways I can. A half hour after my stepdad left, I texted my mom the following: "Hey Ma, I've mulled over what happened at Mel's party, and I've come to the realization that our relationship is not healthy. You put me down for things that weren't my fault and laugh at how you and my bio dad screwed my childhood up. It hurts to hear you speak about me like that, and I don't think you understand exactly how much. I've also come to the understanding that you serving alcohol at a 4-year-old's birthday party without even telling dad isn't normal. This isn't a one-time thing. You start drinking at 8 a.m. and don't stop until bed. You have 2 problems, and until you get some serious help with both of them, I would like very little contact with you. Please don't contact me outside of an emergency." I then blocked her from texting me. I know this isn't as dramatic of an update as y'all were hoping for, but I hope that someone can take something from it. I know it's only been a few days, but I have no regrets. Maybe going cold turkey off her was what I needed.